Welcome back to the channel Coins Collector everyone. Today we are going to dive into one of the most fascinating topics in United States coin collecting history. We are talking about the incredible 1944 Liberty 1-cent wheat penny. This little coin may look ordinary to the untrained eye, but hidden in its copper-colored shine is a story of American history, minting errors, and serious collector value that has turned a simple penny into a fortune. That's right. Some of these coins have sold for as much as $899,000 in today's market. Imagine finding one of these in a jar of change or tucked away in a forgotten drawer. That is the dream of every coin collector and history lover alike. So get comfortable, grab a drink, and let us explore the history, value, and legacy of the 1944 Liberty wheat penny. Now, when we talk about the 1944 penny, we need to step back for a moment and understand the time in which it was made. The year was 1944. The world was in the middle of the Second World War. America had entered the war after the attack on Pearl Harbor in 1941, and the United States Mint was under pressure. Materials like copper and steel were in high demand for war efforts. Every single piece of metal was carefully allocated. This had a huge impact on coinage. In 1943, for example, the mint made pennies out of steel coated with zinc because copper was needed for bullets and shell casings. Those 1943 steel cents became iconic and are easy to recognize because of their silver-gray color, but by 1944 copper was reintroduced. The mint had access again to some copper and used recycled shell casings from the war to produce pennies. That is why the 1944 wheat pennies were once again made mostly out of copper. Millions were struck. At first glance they looked ordinary. However, in the world of coin collecting, nothing is ever as simple as it seems. The 1944 Liberty 1-cent wheat penny carries the familiar design created by Victor David Brenner back in 1909 when the Lincoln cent was introduced. On the obverse or the front we see the portrait of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. Above his head is the word Liberty, and to the left is the motto, "In God We Trust." The date appears to the right. On the reverse of the coin we see the famous wheat ears on each side, which is why it is called the wheat penny. Between the wheat stalks is the phrase 1 cent, and below that United States of America. At the top is the Latin motto E pluribus unum. While the design was the same as earlier years, what makes the 1944 penny so intriguing is the fact that a very small number of mistakes occurred during minting. A few steel planchets left over from 1943 were accidentally used to strike 1944 pennies. That means there are genuine 1944 steel cents out there. These error coins are so rare that they have become legendary. Most people have never even seen one in person. Collectors have chased them for decades, and when one shows up at auction it can command jaw-dropping prices. To put it in perspective, a regular 1944 copper penny might only be worth a few cents or a couple of dollars in circulated condition. But a 1944 steel penny can be worth tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars depending on condition. One example, graded in top quality, sold for nearly $900,000. That is why so many people carefully check their 1944 pennies to see if they might have struck it rich. The story gets even better when you think about the journey these coins have taken over the decades. From being minted in the heat of wartime America to circulating in the pockets of soldiers, workers, and families during the 1940s, many of these pennies passed through countless hands. Some were tucked into savings jars. Others ended up in coin albums. And a rare few survived as steel cents that slipped through the cracks. Today these survivors are like treasures that connect us back to that era of sacrifice and resilience. When talking about value, it is important to understand how coin grading works. A coin's condition is graded on a scale from poor to perfect mint state. The sharper the details and the fewer scratches or marks, the more valuable the coin. A circulated penny that has been through years of use might still be collectible, but it will not bring the same price as a shiny uncirculated example. This is especially true with the 1944 steel penny. Condition makes a huge difference. That is why professional grading services are often used. They certify the authenticity and assign a grade that gives buyers and sellers confidence. collectors often ask how they can tell if they have a real 1944 steel penny. The simplest test is the magnet test. A regular 1944 copper penny will not stick to a magnet. But a genuine 1944 steel penny will. However, caution is needed because some copper cents have been coated or altered to look silvery. That is why professional verification is so important. The market for rare coins like this has been growing steadily. Auctions regularly feature headline-making sales. Investors and collectors alike see these coins not just as money but as pieces of history and art. The combination of rarity, condition, and historical story makes the 1944 steel wheat penny one of the most desirable error coins in American numismatics. Beyond the steel variety, even regular 1944 copper pennies can hold value if they are in exceptional condition or struck with certain mint marks. For example, pennies minted in Denver carry a small d below the date. Pennies minted in San Francisco carry an S. Some of these can be worth more depending on rarity and demand. Collectors often try to assemble full sets by year and mint mark, making even the common ones part of a larger story. When you think about it, the idea that a 1-cent coin could be worth nearly $1 million is both astonishing and inspiring. It shows us that history lives in small everyday objects. It reminds us to look closely at what seems ordinary. Every coin has a story, and the 1944 Liberty Wheat penny tells a story of war, sacrifice, error, luck, and the enduring passion of collectors. So next time you come across a jar of old change or inherit a collection from a relative, do not dismiss those pennies. Look at the dates. Test them carefully. Who knows, you might be holding a tiny treasure that has the power to change your life. As we continue this journey on the channel, we will uncover more hidden gems from American coinage history. But the 1944 Liberty 1-cent wheat penny stands as one of the most fascinating examples of how history, rarity, and condition can transform a humble coin into something extraordinary, and that brings us back to today's featured coin, valued at up to $899,000 in the current market. That staggering figure represents not only the financial value but the incredible historical significance behind it. Whether you are a seasoned numismatist or just someone who loves history, this coin is a reminder of how much beauty and worth can be found in even the smallest things. So welcome back once again, and thank you for joining me on this exploration. Stay tuned because we have so much more to share about rare coins, their stories, and their values. If you are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe so you do not miss future deep dives. And if you are already part of our growing community, thank you for your support and passion. Together we will keep discovering the secrets of history, one coin at a time. Today we are diving deep into one of the most fascinating stories in American coin collecting history. We are talking about the famous 1945 Liberty 1-cent wheat penny from the United States of America. This little copper coin that most people have seen in change or tucked away in an old jar is not just a piece of pocket money. It has become a legendary collectible that has captured the imagination of coin enthusiasts around the world. And the truth is, when it comes to rare examples of this coin, the value can reach absolutely staggering heights. In fact, in today's market, some rare versions of the 1945 wheat penny have been reported with values soaring as high as $839,000. That's right, a simple 1-cent piece could be worth nearly $1 million. Now let us set the stage. The year is 1945. The world is at the end of the Second World War. Millions of soldiers are coming home, industries are shifting from wartime production to peacetime prosperity, and America is stepping into a new era of growth. During this time, the United States Mint continued producing 1-cent coins, the famous wheat pennies, which had been in circulation since 1909. These coins were designed by Victor David Brenner and feature the portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse side, with the reverse showing two wheat stalks framing the words 1 cent and United States of America. They were small, copper coins, but they held a symbolic value far greater than their face. The 1945 wheat penny is particularly fascinating because it belongs to the final years of the wartime era cents. During World War II, the United States Mint experimented with different metals for the 1-cent coin due to copper shortages. In 1943, for example, the famous steel cents were produced. By 1944 the mint returned to using a copper alloy made mostly from recycled shell casings left over from ammunition production. In 1945, this composition continued. The coins were struck using an alloy of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. So not only are these pennies part of numismatic history, they also tell a story about American industry, war, and resourcefulness. But what makes the 1945 wheat penny so valuable? After all, hundreds of millions were minted. The Philadelphia Mint alone struck more than $1 billion 1945 cents, while Denver and San Francisco mints added hundreds of millions more. The key is not in the ordinary coins. The key lies in rare errors, unusual minting conditions, and coins that survived in pristine condition. While an average 1945 wheat penny may only fetch a few cents to a few dollars depending on condition, rare high-grade examples and error coins are where the real money is. For instance, uncirculated mint state coins with bright red luster can sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars. A 1945 wheat penny graded by top certification companies at MS68 Red, which is nearly perfect, has commanded prices reaching into the tens of thousands. Beyond that, error coins such as double die obverse, off-center strikes, and clipped planchets have sent collectors into bidding wars. And then there are the legendary examples, coins so rare, so pristine, or so unusual that they climb into the realm of hundreds of thousands of dollars. This is how we arrive at reports of specimens reaching current market values as high as $839,000. Imagine holding a simple penny in your hand and realizing it could buy you a luxury home or set you up for life. That is the magic of coin collecting. It is not only about money, it is about history, rarity, and the thrill of discovery. Many collectors dream of finding that one special coin in a roll of pennies or in a forgotten jar passed down from grandparents. And yes, people really have stumbled across coins worth life-changing amounts of money. So when you hear that the 1945 Liberty wheat penny could be worth such a fortune, you might wonder what exactly sets it apart. The answer lies in condition, rarity of errors, and the passion of collectors. Coins that have been preserved untouched for decades, never spending a day in circulation, often look as fresh as the day they were minted. These coins are the jewels of the numismatic world. When graded by professional services at the highest levels such as MS68 Red or higher, they become virtually unique. The demand among advanced collectors drives the price sky high. Combine this with stories of error varieties that slipped out of the mint, and you get values that seem unbelievable for such a tiny copper disc. Let us talk about the design for a moment. The obverse shows Abraham Lincoln, the beloved 16th president, facing right. Above his portrait are the words "In God We Trust." To his left is the word liberty and to the right the date, 1945. On the reverse are two stylized wheat stalks surrounding the denomination 1 cent and the inscription United States of America. Above that are the words E pluribus unum, meaning out of many, one. Simple, classic, and elegant, the design lasted from 1909 until 1958 when it was replaced by the Lincoln Memorial reverse. But in the world of collectors, the wheat reverse continues to be one of the most nostalgic and iconic designs ever to grace a U.S. coin. Now when it comes to values today, the range is wide. A typical 1945 wheat penny found in circulation may only be worth a few cents. In average circulated condition they are common, because hundreds of millions were made. In higher circulated grades they may sell for $1 or $2. But when you move into uncirculated examples, especially those with strong luster and no spotting or toning, the values jump sharply. A gem mint state 1945 cent can bring anywhere from $50 to several $100s. At the very top of the scale, certified examples with blazing red color and flawless surfaces are the real showstoppers. These can sell for thousands and in certain cases tens of thousands. Add in error varieties and suddenly you are talking about 5-figure and 6-figure price tags. The most dramatic stories in the coin market are always about record-breaking sales. Imagine the scene at a major coin auction where collectors from around the world bid passionately on a coin that looks like every other penny to the untrained eye. The auctioneer calls out numbers climbing higher and higher until finally the hammer falls at an astronomical price. This is how we get news headlines reporting that a 1945 wheat penny has reached market value of $839,000. It is not every coin, of course. It is the rarest of the rare, the best of the best. But it proves that hidden treasures exist, and they may even be sitting quietly in someone's coin collection right now. So as we welcome you back to the channel today, remember this lesson. Never underestimate the value of coins in your pocket or your family's coin jar. Every coin tells a story. Some tell a story of war, peace, and history. Others tell a story of rarity and discovery. And once in a while, that story is worth a fortune. The 1945 Liberty 1-cent wheat penny is one such story. From the end of World War II to today's record-breaking auctions, it has become a shining example of how something so small can mean so much. Stay tuned as we explore more details in this video. We will show you what to look for, how to identify valuable examples, and why collectors are willing to pay such extraordinary sums. Whether you are a beginner just starting out or a seasoned numismatist with years of experience, this journey into the history and value of the 1945 wheat penny will leave you amazed. So grab your magnifying glass, check those old coin rolls, and who knows, maybe the next great discovery is in your hands.